minutes, is that okay? Enough time? Okay, 2 more minutes. Did you tell me your score for those who are finished? Yes, how many did you get correct? Nearly all? So 7.5, okay, like that? 7.5, right? Okay, as long as you see where you're wrong, because remember, we are trying to recall what we understood, okay? Okay? Okay. I think there's some question answer missing on number 1. Yes? There's no A. Is that what you have also? B, C, D only? Can you open your notes? It's missing A, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway. So sorry about that. There should be an A. Maybe Mr. Nalin forgot to put the A. Anyway, are you done? Yes, because the answer to question number 1 is A. It's not there, right? Okay. Although this is not professional ethics, this was just the basic information from the past. Yes, the elements of an assurance engagement. Do you remember? How do you remember what they are? What was the shortcut I told you to do? 5 elements of, okay, so this is not professional ethics. Let's do another one. 5 elements of an assurance engagement. Do you remember? What were they? I can hear the pieces of paper moving. They're trying to look for it, right? Okay. Well, what were the 5 letters that I asked you to remember? What was the name? What was the word? Yes, the word was, you remember? Rest? Yes, everybody remember that? Okay. These are the 5. What's the 5? What is the C? Okay, the first C is what? Criteria. Second, a report. There is a report. Okay. E, there is evidences. Okay, they gather evidences. S, there is a subject matter. Something, that which is what you review, correct? And then what's T? Very good. 3-party relationship. Okay? And we said an external audit is a type of an assurance, correct? Now remember, why am I talking about external audit? Because that is the topic of AA, correct? Okay? External audit is a type of an assurance. So in external audit, what is the criteria? First, let's talk about what is the subject matter? What are we reviewing? Okay, the financial statements, correct? And the financial statements, we compare with what? Which criteria? Yeah, the IFRS or whatever is the reporting framework, correct? Acceptable reporting framework. Now, why am I saying that? Because in other countries, it may not be IFRS, remember? Then, in external audit, do we have a report? Yes, it is called an audit report. What is in our audit report, among everything else, is our opinion. That is our duty. Remember, our duty is to issue an opinion. Alright? And of course, do we gather evidences in external audit? Yes, that is why we need to learn about audit procedures to actually gather the evidence. Now, in external audit, we understand there are three parties involved when it comes to the FS, correct? Who are the three parties? Party number one, the shareholders, correct? The shareholders want to know what is in the FS. Who else? Who is it? The management. Who is the management? The management is responsible for preparing the FS, correct? And the third one? The auditor, who is the practitioner, correct? The practitioner is in here is the auditor, correct? So, who are these three parties again here? Is the user, okay? The responsible party, and then the third one is the practitioner. Now you understand? Okay? So, who is the user here? User is the shareholder. Responsible party is the management. They're responsible for making the FS. You got that? Okay? And the one who actually does the audit is the auditor. You understand? Understand now the story? Okay, so you will remember this. Okay? No, this is external auditor, not internal auditor. So remember, we're talking about external audit. Yes, thank you. Very good question. Alright, got that? Okay. Maybe it's better to state, to be very clear, because you had that question. Maybe you have to state here, it is the external auditor. Clearer, isn't it? You understand? Thank you for asking me that question. Alright, clear everybody? So, in our question, in the question here, in the quiz that I gave you now, alright, what were the elements that were there? Okay. Do you see? Three-party relationship and the criteria. Only statement 1 and 2. Statement 3 and 4, nothing to do with criteria, but something that we need to talk about talking about when we talk about external audit. Okay. Okay. Determination of materiality and engagement. Okay. Understood, everybody? Sorry. Does everybody need to see this? Is this clear? Okay. Any questions here? Let's move to question number 2. Hold on. Alright. So, let's go to the next question. Alright. Now, this is talking about what we've learned, right? Code of ethics. Now, what is the question here? Which of the following are recognized threats? Remember, threats to independence. Which one? Answer here is letter B or D? The answer is B. What is not a threat? Okay, what are the threats? Can you tell me what are the threats? You remember? Okay, so the threats are, number one, how many are there? Okay, so basically, first and foremost, before we talk about that, let's talk about what are okay, our fundamental principles. What are our fundamental principles? Anybody tell me? What are our fundamental principles? How many do we have? There are 5. What are they? Number 1, integrity. What's the next one? Objectivity. Number 3, confidentiality, correct? Anything else? Confidentiality. All right, next one. Professional what? Competence and due care. Yeah. Number 5. Professional behavior. All right. So behavior. So those are our fundamental principles. Okay. Now to be able to have objectivity, we said we need to be what? We need to be independent. And we said when you are independent, there are threats to independence, correct? In other words, things that will make you not independent. And the threats are grouped into 5 major areas. What are the threats that will not make you independent? The first one, self-interest. Second one, self-review. And I hope you're telling me this without looking into your notes, huh? Third one, advocacy. Very good. Fourth one, familiarity. And the last one, intimidation. Because if these are present, you are not independent, therefore you cannot be objective. Okay? Alright? And if you're not objective, you are not honest, and therefore you don't have integrity. You got that? Okay, so it's all linked together. Okay, so if we go back, oh my God, my handwriting today is wonderful, isn't it? Okay, independent. Okay, let's go back to the question. Why? Alright, so remember, the question was threats. So 1, 2, and 4 are threats. Number 3 is not a threat, it's a fundamental principle. Alright, very good. Okay, number 3. You said you need to be you need to keep confidentiality, correct? Except there are instances when the auditor can disclose. Is that true? Yes? Alright. So, in which instances can the auditor disclose the information? What is your answer? Okay? There were 2 words, correct? Required by law, which is obligatory or voluntary? Obligatory. Permitted by law, voluntary. You understand? But when you are permitted by law, there's something that you need to do. You have to get the consent of the client, correct? That makes statement number 2 wrong because statement number 2 says the auditor has not requested the client. That makes that statement wrong. Correct? Alright, so answer here, sorry, answer is letter D. Correct. Okay? Alright, number 4. Now we have a situation. Okay? We have a situation. Andrew Jones, who is Andrew Jones here? He is a what? He's an audit partner in X company. Okay, so who is the auditor? Audit partner is Andrew Jones. Who is X company? Is it the audit firm or the client? The client. Okay. And how many years? Okay. So, how many years should he be out? What does it mean rotated off? Okay, so he has to be taken out of this client, correct? That's what it means, rotated off, huh? Okay, taken out of this client, he has to be assigned to another client for a minimum, not maximum, minimum of 2 years. Can it be more than 2 years? Answer, yes. You understand? So minimum 2 years. Very good. Okay. Can he go back after 2 years? Can we be assigned to X company again? Yeah, only after 2 years. Very good. Number 5. AAB is the statutory auditor of Y company. Okay? Now, why statutory auditor? Remember what I told you. Publicly listed entities, the stock exchanges, they have only certain approved auditors, correct? Okay? So that's why they call it statutory auditors now. Which of the following services is AAB prohibited from providing to Y company? So what are we talking about here? We're talking about the threat of what? Self-review. Okay? Self-review. So, what do you think out of all these? Arthur? On which of these services can you not do? But if you look at this, these are services provided by the audit firm, correct? Okay. But which one is the one that will definitely be prohibited? Answer is letter D. Okay? Letter D. Because there is a material effect on the financial statements. Okay? Number 6. Again, who is the client and who is the auditor? Client is which company? DEF is the client. Who is the auditor? AB and company. Now, which two of the following constitutes a threat to objectivity? What's your choice? Which two? Okay, D. Anybody has another answer? No? So your choice is letter D. 3 and 4. The audit manager of DE and F owns a small number of shares. Regardless of small or big, it is still equity. You understand? Okay. The husband of the audit partner owns shares in DEF. Now the husband is a close family. Alright? Okay. Now why is number 1 not a threat? He is not a part of the audit team. He can be the secretary of the audit firm. You understand? Okay. The number 2. What's wrong with number 2? The best friend of the engagement partner. Now, that bond is not very strong, correct? Even the grandmother is very far away already. Now, this is just a best friend. It's not as much. All right. Number 7. All right. Here is a situation. We are asked to state what kind of threat it is. What happened here? The private company asked the auditor to prepare a valuation report on a prospective acquisition in order to get some finance from the bank. Alright, so if the auditor takes on this assignment, what is the threat? Is it self-review? Is it self-review? No, nothing to do with the financial statements, correct? So it's nothing to do with reviewing the financial statement. Is it a familiarity? No, definitely not. Is it an advocacy threat? Okay. Why is it and the answer is yes, actually. Why is it an advocacy threat? Why? In this case, the client is asking the external auditor to prepare a kind of like a summary or their opinion on the company's ability to be able to, okay, in other words, they're trying to buy another company, okay? So this company is trying to buy another company, and they need some money from the bank, okay? So now this company is asking the auditor to prepare a report, okay, on how much is that acquisition, right? So what does it? You say, but that's that's fine. It's okay. Yes, but then when they give this to the bank, okay, when the auditor starts to do that, the bank will think that the auditor supports the ability of the client to make a loan. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, it's like telling the bank, listen, this client is able to make the loan. Okay? Although it's not written on the letter, but that is the implication. You understand? Okay. So any implication of that matter is a kind of advocacy. You are promoting the client. Remember, advocacy is promoting, okay, promoting your client, promoting its shares, promoting its ability to pay, promoting its status as a business. That is advocacy. You cannot advocate for the client. Okay? Right, so that is an example. Now, yes?
But in this scenario,
Wait, hold on. Ladies first. Hold on. Ladies first. Huh? Okay.
If we want to follow the script, like write it alone, and we have to choose only one script about the other.
Oh, okay. I understand. We should have said 1, 2, 3, 4, correct? Yeah? Alright. So the question is a little bit missing there. Alright. And I will accept that. Okay? So yes, one is advocacy. What is another? Although you cannot choose, that's why you maybe made a wrong answer here. Because if you choose one, that's fine. But this question should have said, there should have been at the bottom, right, 1 and 2, 2 and 3, right? Okay. So maybe we made a mistake here. But yes, good observation. Which two? Give me the other one. You think it's a self-review? So what is the other one? Is it self-review? Will the valuation on that particular purchase affect what is in the financial statement? Remember, if you're doing a self-review, remember, as an auditor, you will review the financial statement, right? So anything that goes back that will reflect in the financial statement, if you do something else, for example, you did the bookkeeping and prepare the financial statement, right? That is self-review because the effect of that goes to the financial statement. Then you review the financial statement, okay? So that is your kind of like point of reference when you do self-review. It's the work going back to the financial statement, and then I will review the same financial statement. That is self-review. Okay? So in here, This valuation will not appear on the financial statement. What is going to do here? Understand? Okay. All right. So debit in here it is not self-review. It is not familiarity as well. Correct? Very clearly, right? So it will be what? Why? Why self-interest? Can you explain to you what? What has got to do with the business? Why is it self-interest? Remember, self-interest for the audit firm. Why is it why am I interested to be able to for this bank to be able to get this cash? Remember, it is a client, correct? Yes? And I want the client to be able to have enough cash to be a continuing business. Otherwise, this client will be lost. You understand what I'm saying? So yes, you want to have this business as a going concern. There is the self-interest part. You understand? You got that? What did I tell you? At the end of the day, what did you say? We do not want to lose a client. Do you remember? That's the last thing we want to happen. Okay, clear? What is your question?
My question is, in this scenario, it's not tell us that the auditor will promote the financial statement of the client. So, if the auditor not accept this assignment, how can the bank, how can the bank can consider that company? The auditor have an obligation to do this thing, but if the auditor fails with the step, they will not reject it. They will reject it.
Perfect. What he's trying to tell me, who's going to do that job for the client if the auditor is not going to do that work? Okay? So many others can do it. As long as it's not the same auditor who does the external. You can always go, if that external auditor is PwC, that company can go to EY to ask that job to be done. You understand? Another company, another individual can do it. Do you understand? Not the same external auditor. Yes? So if this external auditor is PwC, then this company, if he wants it done, should be done by another audit firm. You are very correct. You understand now, everybody? Yes? Yes, the job has to be done, correct? So you say, who's going to do it? Is it not the job of the auditor? Yes, it's the job of the auditor. But not his same external auditor. Get somebody else to do it. You? Yeah? Makes sense. Now you're thinking. Okay? That is the kind of critical thinking we will practice. Then we will be able to understand in detail. I like that. Okay. Alright. Number 8. Here's one type of question that actually we don't like a lot. Why? Why is this question we don't like a lot? It says, which of the following statement best reflects? Which means these statements here are very close to each other. You understand? And this is the kind of statement that you actually have to read the answers, the choices about 5 times before you be able to answer the question. Yeah? To be able to find. Unless you're very sure of your answer, then it will take a short time. So which one best describes or the duty of confidentiality of the auditor? The best. What's your choice? Somebody says C over here. Anybody has another choice? You choose B? Okay. Anybody else have any other choice? Hey, awesome. Anybody chose B? So we have all of it? Yeah. Yeah, I'm choosing. So let's see. The correct answer, ladies and gentlemen, is letter C. Okay? But why is A not correct? Must never, under any circumstances. We remember we had some exceptions, correct? We have a voluntary disclosures and the required one and the permitted disclosure. Remember that? Okay. So there is nothing that is never here. Okay. The auditors. This word makes it wrong. Okay. And never under any circumstances. Well, there are exceptions. Okay. There are exceptions. So A is not a choice. What's wrong with B? What's wrong with B? Can we disclose if the police and anybody ask? What's missing in B? Yes. In letter B, there must be a statement about consent. Yes. Can divulge to the police or the tax as long as the client consents. Got it? Okay. That is what is wrong with B. What's wrong with D? This one, specifically says, without. So that is correct. May only disclose. Is it only in the same time in this situation? No, they can also disclose with the client's consent on other issues, correct? Yeah? So this one only talks, it limits any other exceptions. Okay, that is why letter D is wrong. Okay? On its own sentence looks to be correct, right? But actually it says it may only disclose. So that's the only situation. But actually there is another situation, correct? So that statement becomes wrong. Okay? You got that? So this is what I was telling you. It's a little bit of a combination of them. Alright? So, see if you got all of the 8 questions correct, that is excellent. Okay? If you have 1 mistake, that is semi-excellent. If you have 2 mistakes, that is how much I accept. Any other lower than that, we need to actually practice more multiple choice questions. You got that? Especially this chapter. Alright? So, in my absence, okay, in the next few weeks, when we're not going to meet each other, 2 weeks, I need you to go to the review kits. And I need you to go to multiple choice questions under professional office. Can you do that? Okay? Now, I remind you again, how do you answer these questions in your kit? Answer it first before you look at the answer key. You understand? Okay? Now, if you got it wrong, you have to see why you got it wrong. Now, once we review again towards the end, you review that same questions again and see if you remember the answers correctly. Okay? Alright? Alright. Now, we've practiced about, okay, so since everybody is here now, we did practice about our multiple choice questions in our agenda. Okay, that's very good. We will have more of that. Now, what we need to do is to practice on the long question. Okay, long question. Now, I need you to open your Google Classroom again, please. Okay. And, sorry, I need to share that with you. Alright. Alright, here we go. Sorry. I need to post it. Oopsies. How do I post it? Can you see this or no? I cannot post it. Okay, sorry. Oh my god. Okay. Sorry, I have to edit it. And I have to assign it. Sorry, I forget. Okay. Alright, so here is your question, ladies and gentlemen. Can you open it? Is it already there? Yes? Do you see that? Posted a new assignment, chapter 4, review activity. Everybody has that? Okay, can you open it, please? Alright, does everybody open it?
Yes.
Okay, good. I want us to look at question letter A. Okay? Question letter B and C. Okay? You can do it as your whole review. I will send you the answers of this as well by next week. Okay? So I'll give you the answer to that. But what does it say in letter A? Is everybody opening your notes? Is it already there? No. Okay? It says, okay, there are 3 things you need to do. It says identify, then explain what? Factors that may threaten independence. Okay? So threats to independence. But there's a third one. It says you are to explain how to what? How each should be managed. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay? So 1, 2, and 3. How many marks?
10 marks.
Okay? So what happens here, 10 marks, is that the 1 and 2, because 1 is very simple, 1 and 2 will be 1 mark. Okay? So maybe you can see, mark it. 1 mark. And this one will be 1 mark. So, how many sets? How many will you give? How many threats do you need to give? You need to have 5 threats to make and get the 10 marks. Do you understand? I have not read anything yet. So when I'm reading the requirements, I am looking at what is exactly asking me, number 1, and what will I need to give. Okay, do you see now? Okay. So we'll practice more on this kind of assessment. But I need to have at least 5 threats. Okay? 5 sets. Identify the threats, which means I have, when you say identify means, what should I say? If it's a self-interest, if it's, you remember the 5 ones? Yes, and then if it's self-interest, you have to tell me if it's an equity problem, is it a loan problem, you remember? That is what it means by identify. That's your title. Then, the explanation means you have to state, okay? You have to state what is the situation. You remember what I said when you explain? State first the fact. Then you say, when you say it is a familiarity, then you have to say because they are familiar with each other, then it will affect the financial state. That is what explanation is. And then the management or mitigation is what you do, correct? How do you reduce the threat? You remember we always had a safeguard. You remember safeguard? Okay, that's the third one they're asking you. Okay? So, in this case, alright, what will you do? How will you, at this point, how do I decide how to present my answer? I have not read anything yet, At this point, I have not read anything of the scenario. How will I be able to, in my piece of paper, I will already decide how I'm going to answer the question. So the first one is I will have to identify. That is my first part of my discussion, okay? Of my answer. So remember, how many of these sets do I need? I need 5 of these. So I need to have, for example, self-review. Then I have to explain. And how do I explain? The first is you have to state the given scenario. So what happened here? For example, the brother is the CEO of the company. You understand? So you state what is given in the problem. Then you have to state why it is a self-review threat. Because you said it's a self-review, correct? So you need to say, why is it a self-review threat? Then, the second part of the problem, the second part of the answer would be how to manage, in this case, manage, another term, how to safeguard. Because the question, some question says, explain the safeguard. Or it can say, explain how you mitigate the threat. You understand? How to mitigate the threat. So that is every answer. That's how you're going to present it. Okay? So, let's take a look together. Alright? What is the issue? And I will let's mark together what are the 5. Okay? Let's mark together what are the 5. Alright, so, let's see. Let's go through it together. Alright? Okay. So, you are the audit manager of the audit firm of Dark and Company. One of your audit clients is North Sea, a company specializing in manufacture and supply of sporting equipment. North Sea has been your client for 5 years, and you have been audit manager for the past 3 years. Okay? The audit partner has remained unchanged. Now, you are planning the audit. So far, how many years is that? Is any problem there so far? What do you think? Do you have an issue? No. With North Sea? The partner has remained unchanged. 5 years. Okay, now, let's take a look at it in a moment. You are now planning the audit following an initial meeting with the directors of North Sea. You have obtained the following information. North Sea is attempting to obtain a listing on the recognized stock exchange. So this is not yet in the stock exchange, but they want to be in the stock exchange. Okay? The directors have established an audit committee as required by corporate governance regulations. Although no further action has been taken in this respect, information on the listing is not yet public knowledge. Okay? So this company is going to be publicly listed very soon. Okay? So, what is the problem if you have a publicly listed company? We said we have an issue with the partner. Although it is not yet 7 years, it's only what? How many years? The partner, the audit partner, how many years has he been auditing? Okay? 7 years, correct? Yes? So, what happened? Okay, it may not be that it is something that is within the number of years. But we have an issue with what? What kind of threat? Yeah, it may still, because of the number of years, we have a familiarity threat. Do you understand? Yeah? Why no? Tell me. Now, it's not yet 7 years. Okay? It's not yet 7 years. But, okay, it doesn't have, you don't have to wait until 7 years. Okay? And this one, they're going into to be listed in the stock exchange very soon. Now, if you see an auditor already 5 years, okay, the 7 years is just, they just put a number, that's the maximum you can go. But it doesn't have to wait until 5 years to be familiar. That's 7 years to be familiar. You got it? Okay. When they say 7 years, they mean that's the maximum they can stay. But even if less than 7 years, familiarity is already there. You understand? They just put a number so that by that number of years, you have to really need to rotate. Can they rotate even before 7 years? Answer is yes, you can. The 7 years that they put is just the maximum years you have to be with one client. Okay? So, the longer between 1 to 7 years, if that client becomes too familiar, okay? No, it cannot even, doesn't have to be even 7 years. If within 1 year, he is so friendly, it's still going to have a familiarity problem. You understand? So the 7 years is just a number to make sure that it does not exceed that. Okay? Anything less could be a familiarity threat. Okay? Now, number 2. You've been asked to continue to prepare the company's financial statements as in previous years. What is the threat? Yes, self-review, very clearly. Okay? I'm not giving you how to mitigate. I want you to think about that when you start answering in a moment. Number 3. What do you think? They want you to attend a reception where the North Sea will announce to its potential clients that it is going to what? That they're going to be listed in the stock exchange, correct? Alright, so they're potential existing shareholders and telling them, listen, we are going to be in the stock exchange. The auditor has been invited. What is that threat? Why? Can somebody explain why advocacy? He's just been invited to the party. I agree with you, it's an advocacy threat. But why? Correct. By the mere, even they don't say anything. The purpose of the party is to launch the company as a listed entity, correct? So they're trying to get this and say, come and buy our shares. Now, just by the mere presence that the auditor is standing there, he is already saying what? He didn't say anything, but it means that if he's there, he promotes. You understand? He promotes. Okay? Promotes that this company is something that you need to buy. You understand? Imagine the head, the CEO of PwC is in that party. And you know how prominent they are, correct? And they know that this person is from PwC. Even the company will say, oh, let's welcome our guest. This is from ANZ Bank. Welcome, this thing of APA Bank. Hello, Mr. CEO, PwC, our auditors. That's it. You understand? Just say welcoming, but it is an advocacy. You understand? People will think, oh, look, PwC is agreeing, so we buy. Yeah, it's kind of like an advertising, you understand? And advertising is an advocacy. Got it? Okay. Alright, next one. North Sea has indicated that the fee for taxation rendered in December 31, 2005. Which is the year now? 2007. 2005 was what? Will be paid soon. So there is an unpaid taxes, correct? Okay? And have agreed, as a taxpayer, have agreed to, you have been advising the legality, okay, of the allowable taxation for taxation purposes. Whoa. What is that threat? What is that? That is a self-review. It's something to do not with financial statements, but with the taxation issues. You remember? Okay, they're not supposed to make and say this is allowed deduction, this is not an allowed deduction. That is for the management to know to decide. Okay. Now, how many so far do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Now remember, how many threads do we need? We need 5 threads. Okay, is there more? There's one more at the end. Finally, you have just inherited 5% of North Sea share as an inheritance on the death of the distant relative. Is that a threat? Yes, it is or no? Yes. What kind of threat? Okay, now you understand that, correct? Okay, so you have 5.
Not yet 5.
Not yet 5? How many?
Send you to check what you need.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, I didn't. You can have all advocacies for all I care, but there are 5 situations. You understand? Yes, not 5 different ones, but you have to identify 5 different threats. Now, the threat of self-interest can be 2 and 2 advocacies. Doesn't matter. Okay, but just good question, because then if you didn't ask the question, somebody will look for another one. Where will be the last one? Okay, you understand? Good question. Good observation. Okay, so you have 5. Now we know what we need to do and write. Okay, so what time is it? Why am I running so late? Isn't it? Okay, here's what we're going to do. Remember, 2:45 supposedly there's somebody who's coming, right? And that somebody is Miss Chantea has come. Now, what will happen now? It's 2:50. Yeah, exactly. 2:50. How long will it take, Mr. Chantea? Alright, so about 3 o'clock you finish, right? Okay. So from 3 to 3:15 you take a break after she finishes. Yes? So at 3:15 when you come back, I need you to sit with your seatmate or your study buddy. Okay? How many? There are 5, right? Okay? So this row here will be number 1. Answer number 1 question. Yes? Okay? This over here will be, there's 2 rows, number 2. You have to write number 2. Okay? Familiarity threat. Okay? This here, number 3. Okay, number 3, the third one, advocacy. Yes, you understand? Okay, you got that? Here, number 4, which is what? Self-review. Yeah? And the last row, you guys, over here at the end, it will be the last one, the inheritance. Okay? But I want you to write, okay, worth 2 marks. Remember, each answer is 2 marks each, right? Okay, so remember, identify, explain, mitigate. Alright, so before, then I have to go out now. Okay, that is when you come back at 3:15. Got that? On the computer, not handwritten, if you can, please. If not, then I have to accept a handwritten answer. Alright? Okay? Got that? Okay, sorry. I have to run away from the room.
Okay, come on. សួស្តីទាំងអស់គ្នានៅថ្ងៃជំនុំធម្មតាយើងឆ្លើយយើងមាន internal evaluation ការវាតម្លៃអ្នកគ្រូ2ដងក្នុងមួយ term ចឹងដូចហ្នឹងគឺជា first evaluation ចឹងយើងអាចចូលរួមវាតម្លៃទាំងអស់គ្នាទៅលើការបរិវត្តអ្នកគ្រូថាការបរិវត្តមិនដែរល្អចំណុចណាឬក៏នៅចង់ហើយមានចំណុចណាដែលយើងចង់ស្នើសុំគាត់បន្ថែមចឹងយើងអាចចូលរួមវាតម្លៃឲ្យ comment ទាំងអស់គ្នាណាអូខេ ចាំបន្ទាប់ពីយើងធ្វើ evaluation ហើយយើងអាច break បានហើយ evaluation ហ្នឹងវាមាន2ប្រភេទយើងអាច scan code ក៏បានក៏យើង send link ក៏បាន នេះអាច scan កូដក៏បានឬក៏ហើយយើងខាងក្រោមក៏បានចាំសម្រាប់scan កូដ link នេះយើងត្រូវការអ៊ីនធឺណិតណាបងយើងវាយចូលក្នុង browser យើងទៅ scan កូដនោះបើសិនជា iPhone យើងមានកន្លែងកាមេរ៉ាយើងចូលកាមេរ៉ា scan ក៏បានតែយើងត្រូវមានអ៊ីនធឺណិតអ៊ីនធឺណិតតែអ្នកដែលអត់ទាន់ច្បាស់អាចសួរខ្ញុំបានចាំខ្ញុំប្រាប់អូខេហើយអាហ្នឹងយើងតាក់ទងតើការរៀនរបស់ជាគ្រូចឹងយើង comment ឲ្យតាក់ទងការរៀនរបស់គាត់ទៅ
Hãy subscribe cho kênh Ghiền Mì Gõ để không bỏ lỡ thì sẽ phải đi một chút đó một thầy một sinh tác với đây thì đi chơi dân châu là số thì sẽ thành không mơ này vẫn còn là chính nhà còn là không phòng ra trên đường chuyển túi và tay có bị cái này ô trọng là còn
Okay, welcome back. Very good that you are working on it together. Here's what I want you to do, everybody. Now, listen. Where is this? Okay. What we're going to do in this review activity, although it's not allowed to do, all right. Remember I told you that you're supposed to have the numbers on that earlier, correct? that discussion earlier? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now, you are in one group.
Yes.
Yeah. I want you to come up with one answer. Okay? Already? Okay, good. I want you to post the answer here. Alright? Okay, so, alright, so in this particular, here, I'll put it. So how you're going to, you have to state, okay? State the number you are answering.
Command.
Okay, in other words, if you are answering number 1, you say that you're answering number 1. Okay, so where will you post it? You understand here, after this one here. Do you see this post? Okay, you remember North Sea? North Sea is the title, correct? Okay, so if you are group 1, you have to say group 1, and you're answering that particular question, that particular oh my God, where is my notes? Okay, over here. You remember this? Okay, so what is in here? Group 1, where's my pen? Who is group 1? Who has familiarity? Okay, so you're going to post on there your answer on familiarity. 2 is the self-review problem on financial statement. Okay, got it? Okay, so can you work together to come up with the best answer worthy of the marks to be given by the examiner? Alright? You got that? Okay, so one of you will post it there. Okay, I need only one. I only need to see 5 answers on the post. Yes? Alright? Okay? So you work together. Do not be a passenger, huh? Okay? Do not be a passenger. Everybody must be a driver. Come on. Okay. If you're not the one typing, you have to look if the discussion is correct. Remember, how do we present? We identify, we explain, and we engage. Yes? Alright? Come Alright, how long do you have? You have 5 minutes to do that. Why 5 minutes? Because 2 marks is about 1.8 minutes. Yeah? So about 2 minutes, I gave 5 minutes extra because it's a discussion. That's okay, 1 minute extra. Okay? Somebody will be the one to post, huh? One answer. Where are you guys? You're here? You're number 4 together? So are you guys are 4, right? Okay, so you have to discuss together. Yeah, yes. Okay, good. You're over here?
Ano yung muna yung
You also must see about English grammar, yes? Not only the answer, you have to make sure that the sentences make sense. Huh? The grammar is okay. So if you're in contribution there, you know how the English grammar you need contribution to correct. Huh? Yes. Yes. No, you can go to the class. No. Yeah, there's a go to the classroom. Go to the classroom, please. Not here. In back page. Go back to the classroom class. I made another thread. There. Post your answers. Yes. Here. Yeah. No, don't post yet. Type first. Yeah. Let me copy that. Yeah. Okay. Are you ready to post?
Not yet.
So it'll be 5 minutes. 5 minutes more. You cannot say that to the examiner, isn't it? Okay. Are we working? Right. Okay, so have we posted? Can you start posting?
Yes.
Yeah, alright, so let's take a look at your answers. Oh, where are the posts? I don't see any posts. Oh, okay, good. I have one already. Group 3 is in. Anybody else? Anybody has posted? Group 5 has posted? Next one. I have 3 more missing. More? Can we have more so we can start discussing the answer? Pose, please. Ready? So I have 3. Who's 3? 1, 2, 3. Your team? Okay. I have the one from 5. Who else is giving me? Nobody else? 2. Post it now if you have. Post it. You post it? You go. Okay, copy and paste. Okay, come on. So there you guys post it already? Okay, you guys over here, post it, and you guys over here. I need your answers. Post it already? Okay, so maybe it's in the wrong slide, wrong area. Where did you post it? I don't see it here. It's here. Okay. You posted it here. Okay, sorry. Okay. Can you post it here so we can see? Under post your answers to review activity. Can you copy and paste so we can see it only in one area? Group 1 is in. Group 2, can you post it here too? And I'm missing group 4. Group 4? Where did you put group 4? Group 4, can you post it on the other side? Yeah? You're here. Can you copy from here to where? To the one that says, post your answers to review activity. Can you do that? So 3, 5, 1. Whose group is this? Maninit? Group 2, Okay. All right. One more. Group 4, post it here. You done it? All right. One more. Where's the one more? Group 4. There you are. Very good. Excellent. Now we know how to work this out, okay? Congratulations, everybody. All right. We'll go to the first one. All right. So let's do the ones who put it first. So group 3. Who's group 3? You guys. Okay. Group 3 says they were talking about advocacy. So then what they did was they identified the advocacy, the threat. So remember, identify the threat, explain the threat, and mitigate. Now look, what did they say here? When they actually identify the threats, okay, they state what is given in the problem. Do you see? The invitation. Then, in the second part, what did they do? Explain why it is an advocacy threat. Okay? Alright, so in this case, they explained that attending it would be like promoting the client, okay, to the rest of the attendees, correct? Okay. And the last sentence is what? Very simple, very straight. It's mitigating. There's no other thing. There's no other way to state it. Very clearly, reject the invitation. Okay? I think what you can do also, you can add the word politely reject the invitation. Because it's an invitation, correct? Okay. At the end of the day, it's still your client. You got it? Okay? So, sorry?
Let's say 6 minutes to our decision.
Why? For what purpose?
That's no lie.
No. When you reject, you reject. Okay? You cannot send it. And then the other guy, you send the receptionist, okay? Without disrespect to the receptionist, the client says, why do you send only the receptionist? Am I not important to them? You understand? Yeah, it's better to say no, we will not be able to join. You understand? Okay. Yeah, because of course, it's still representation. If you send anybody else, okay? Even if you send the junior auditor, it's still a representation. Okay? Would you, if you were the marker, would you give 2 marks to this? Yes. And that's worth 2 marks. Okay? Now let's look at the next thing. Group 5. The audit manager had inherited about 5% of, okay, you have to make sure that you have the correct spelling. Okay? You understand? Okay, capital. Which is a kind of a self-interested. Okay? Alright. Now, what is a clean auditor's report? What is a clean auditor's report? Although we explain it that way, but that's not how we categorically explain. Okay? What is a clean auditor's report? You don't state that on the paper. Okay? You state that the opinion would be, okay, later when we talk about, it's what? It's an unqualified opinion. You don't say clean. It's just a jargon that we use when we talk about it. Okay? Alright? In order to manage a threat, the audit manager should be removed from the audit partner. Why? Must be from the audit team, correct? Yeah, because he's the audit manager, right? Okay, so a couple of things on this answer, group 5. Number 1, I don't have a header that says what kind of threat. Remember we said identify clearly? Okay, so you have to state what kind of threat, right? You have to say self-interest threat. Okay. Now, although you said already explained the 5%, okay, so you've stated it, okay, but the explanation is not very detailed, right? You have to say, okay, being the part owner now of the company, it will be, okay, you have an equity on your client. And therefore, okay, it will be advantageous for that, for you to issue, okay, a report that is advantageous to your client, because now you're now the owner of that client. You understand? So it is a self-interested. Okay. Yes, the way to actually mitigate is, yes, you taken out of the audit team. Okay, you are not the audit partner here. You are the audit manager, correct? Okay, now you have to be taken out. Okay, or another thing is you want to what? You could sell your shares. Okay, you can sell, but of course, who wants to do that, right? Okay, so and also if you start selling your shares, it will be seen like an inside trading. You know, inside trading. Okay, when somebody has information inside the company and you try to sell off your shares. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to give a score between 0 to 2 on this answer, how many would you give? Yeah, so I'll give 1. Why? I'll give 0.5 on the okay. I'll give 0.5. Okay, sorry. I'll give 0.5 on the mitigation. Okay. And I'll give 0.5 on the explanation and identification. I needed more. You understand? I needed the title. I needed more explanation here. Right? Okay. Why 0.5 here? Because it should not be audit partner. It should be audit team. Okay? Now, the audit manager should be taken out of the audit team of North. Okay? Alright, group 1. Group 1 was on familiarity. Okay? Familiarity for 5 years. Okay? And the partner remained unchanged. Okay, so they identified, they explained, they identified, then explained. As the aspect of the independent auditor, this scenario represents a threat of conflict due to the partner has remained unchanged. Yes, that is already given here. Your explanation on the second is on the first. What you need to explain on the second is about why familiarity affects your audit. You understand? Because already, what you written on the second part is what you written on the first part. Okay? You have to explain why familiarity is a threat. Okay, so what do you need to say? Over the past 5 years, okay, this audit partner may become familiar with the audit client, okay, and therefore will no longer be independent in the process of the auditing the financial statements for many more years. Yes.
For their scenario can be assumed that it is no threat because we assume that they can be part of our years.
Sorry, say again.
For this scenario can be assumed that it has no threat because we assume it's our possibility. But if they after 5 years,
Yeah. I told you already the 7 years is just a number of the maximum. It can be less than that, but they can be familiar. The fact that they written it on the scenario and explained it that it's already 5 years and that they are, this audit manager is working for 3 years and they're going to be listed in the stock exchange. Then you can consider that as a threat. Yes? Let's say you don't consider as a threat. Is there any other that makes up 5? Then that's the least you can do. You understand? Correct. But already I'm telling you, it doesn't have to go to 7. Now, how do I pick that out? The fact that they actually state how many years means that the examiner is trying to tell you something. You understand? Okay? You don't have to have the total 7 years. The 7 years is just a maximum of the years that you can be familiar. You can be familiar less than that. They just give a number up to when. Understand? It doesn't mean that you have to go 7 years to be familiar. You can be familiar in 2 years, in 3 years. Now, you would say, how do I know in this exam? The fact that the examiner put it there, that means already 5 years, then you can pick it as. Okay? Now, how would you say that? If you don't believe, then you have to say, in case within these 5 years, you understand? To state, in case that's within these 5 years, that the client, the audit partner becomes, because you think it's not, right? But just in case, we don't know the details, just in case, then you have to state that. Okay? Remember, when the examiner tells you explain or discuss, it doesn't have to be in the problem. But you have to say, just in case within these 5 years he becomes too familiar with his clients, okay, then this would be a threat. Then that would make sense.
In the case that is not only 2 years. So is that in the case?
Well, if that is the last in your list, remember you need to file 5, correct? Then find another one. If you find another one, disregard that. But in this case, can you find another one for me? No more. I will use that to make my 5. You got that? Yeah. If she's saying, what happened if it's 2 years? Fine. If you don't believe that it is familiar, fine. Find me another one. If you have another one below, sometimes they provide more. Yes? Find me another threat below. Don't disregard this. This is your last of your list. You understand? Okay? But in this case, there's no more. So I need to find one. Yes? You understand? I need to find one. Good question. Okay, next one. Which group is this? Ooh, self-review, correct? Okay. First sentence. First, it should say not treat. Treat means celebration. I'm talking about threat, Some H missing somewhere. Okay? Without the H, the treat means you're going to take me to dinner. It's a treat. Okay, so be careful, ladies and gentlemen. It makes another meaning. No. Look! Due to the audit firm have prepared the previous year, that is not a sentence. You understand? The first part is not a sentence. That is a clause. So what do you want it to say? I think you wanted to say that the audit firm is preparing the financial statements in the previous year, correct? Okay. Is there a problem if you copy exactly what the problem says? There's no problem. You understand? It says there. You don't have to repeat. Don't have to redefine the sentence. It's there. The audit firm is preparing the financial statements of this company for previous year. Is that exactly what's written there? Write it down. Okay? It doesn't have. You don't have to rephrase it. You got it? Okay? Okay? Now, and then they are asked to do it still. So, what happens? When, especially now, when they're going to be part of the stock exchange, what happens? This is still acceptable to be done? Okay? You have to explain that if the auditor continues to prepare the financial statements, at the same time audit it constitutes a self-review threat. Because they will be reviewing, what did you say? They will be reviewing their own prepared financial statements. In which case, they will not be able to what? They will not be able to find out, what did you say? If you do self-review, you will not be able to find out what the problems are or what the mistakes are. You understand? And that's what you're going to put here. You're explaining what self-review means. Okay? So, safeguard. So the audit should reject. Is it the audit? Okay, it should be what? The audit firm should reject. Okay, yeah, okay. I think what you not reject, but the audit firm must let North Sea know that they have to get their financial statements prepared by whom? By another company. You understand? Okay. Or if within the audit firm there's another department, they can get the other department to prepare the financial statement. So there is a need to expand. I understand what you wrote. Yes? But I'm trying to say, if you want the examiner or the marker to give you full marks, we need further explanation. Do you understand? This group? Who is this group? Okay, you understand what I'm trying to say. Okay? So, how many marks would you give this team? Again, we didn't identify on the top. How many marks? Yeah, 1 mark as well. Similar to the previous one, yes? 1 mark. Okay? Group 4. You have been advising North Sea regarding legality of the taxation. Okay? So what happened here? What was the problem here? Where is that? It's a self-review issue, correct? Yeah, alright, so self-review issue as well. Okay, so I'm sorry. These represent self-review threat because Dart and Company provides both audit service and tax it. Okay? Alright, so where is your safeguard?
We missed that.
No more time, huh? Okay. Alright, so yes, you've identified. We need to have a title, yeah? Okay, self-review. You understand? You have to say self-review. You have been advising. Okay, alright? Especially if this particular service actually affects financial statement information. You have to state that. Okay? In this case, it will affect the financial statements. Alright? Good. So, perfect here, but I give you 1 mark because there's one missing. What is the safeguard? Can you tell me what is the safeguard verbally?
Not to provide service like
Yeah, you need to actually, yes, you need to choose either this or the other. Okay? So if not this, you either have to give this to a department in your firm that is not from the audit team, or get the client to get these services done by another company. You understand? Okay, so good. All right. So we're going to do that more and more. Now, here's what happens. I know that this particular question is, I have given it here. So as a practice, what you can do as per person now, okay, not here now, but over the week, what you go through the question again, okay, and then each one types an answer for all the questions. The same question, huh? The same one. Type your answer. Okay? Type your answer, because now you know, right? Type what you know and write it on that blank paper, on the blank side. Alright? That is now individually. Alright? Now, there's another one there's another example I'm going to give you. This one I give you for homework, because this example that I'm giving you as a homework is for you as a group. Okay? So, I'm going to post this now. This one is, not as a group. You work with your who? With your study buddy. Okay? So, which means, okay, answer the question and get your study buddy to what? To mark your answers. So, what will happen? You prepare and your study buddy prepares, correct? Then you exchange. Then you each mark. Okay, how will you mark? I have to send you the answers so you know how to mark. Understand? Okay? So, you're going to do that, and you'll see exactly the problem. I'll show you now in a moment. It says homework. Sorry, 1 second. It's a little bit so fast. Alright. If you look, and I'm asking you to do letter B. Oops, where is it? Is it gone? Okay, here. What does it say? The same thing, huh? Identify and explain. Same, right? Same like what we did today. Identify, explain the risk to independence, and then third, suggest ways to mitigate. Okay? So, suggest ways to mitigate. Alright? How many marks? 12 marks. So, I will try and look for what? Okay? 6 if I have 6. Okay? If not, I have to find maybe 1 mark is for identification, 1 mark for explanation, and 1 mark for mitigation. Do you understand? Okay, so how many is that? 3 marks. So I probably need 4. You got that? Okay. So you need to look at the requirement. Alright, so the one on the top is just a simple question that you can practice answering, okay, as well. Alright, so these are, when is a situation you may disclose confidential information.
So you can answer that as well, but the main issue is here. An example. So two things now you have to do, right? You have to rewrite your answer on the activity on North Sea, and you have a new homework, which is McKay and company. You got that? Okay. So now we've grouped together. Now you work with your study buddy and alone at the same time. Got it? Okay. So all the ingredients are there. So I will send you the answers by Wednesday this week in the evening. Okay? So you can see. Right? But don't wait for my answer before you actually work on it, yeah? Okay, so you can try and do it yourself, yeah? Okay? Any questions? Sorry, is it there already? Let me see. Okay, is it streamlined there in our... Not yet? Is there or not yet? Oh, here, sorry. Is it posted? The homework. Oh, oops. Review activity, that's what we did, right? Okay. And then homework is also there. Can you see it? Yeah? Okay, so you have the North Sea here. It's a class activity, and you have the homework here. I just posted it. Okay? I hope it is correct. Yeah? Yes, homework. Okay, good. All right, so everybody, it's all there. Okay, so now let's go to chapter 5. Sorry, any questions?
Lecturer, we need to post the answer in the classroom.
No need. You may want to if you like, okay? But the idea is for you to work with your study buddy. Alright? So it's better if you save it there, you can post it as well so we can take a look as an example. Yeah, why not? Yeah? So don't be shy, we will share. Alright? So you can post your answers so we can see some of your answers as well. Alright? You work on that. Alright, good. Any questions on professional ethics? More questions? Alright, so it's a good exercise. One of your comments in the teacher's evaluation just this afternoon is you mentioned that you want to work together. I agree with that, although it takes a little bit of our time, but that's good. But I have an issue with that though, because it may not be everybody's involved, you understand? And it's not in the same pace. We will try to do that as whenever we can, but I don't really need that as much as getting you to work. That's why I want you to work with your study buddy, because only two of you, okay? And you really work on it together, okay? But we will have multiple choice and all these activities, especially I want to show you how to answer a question. Alright, that's the other thing that I wanted to show you. Two people said about slowing down. Oh my God. Alright, now, I cannot slow down too much because we have number of days to finish, correct? Okay. So a number of hours only to teach the syllabus. So how do we meet? Okay, I will try and explain as much as I can, but I think what will help is that if you read the chapter before you come to class, you actually will not need me to slow down. You actually will need me to go fast, actually, because you probably will be bored to death if I'm going to go slower. You understand? Okay? So, note taken though. Another thing, yes, I agree with you. These projectors are not helping us, isn't it? Okay? Through the years, it became lighter and lighter. But I am going down to the IT department and I'm going to protest in front of the office because I have been asking them to change it forever. So now, promise, in the next 2 weeks before I come back, I want this to be brand new. Okay? So I cannot have that comment again, and I've been asking that for a long time. Okay? So that was the other major comment that you had. What else? And the other thing was slow down. Otherwise, we are good to go. Isn't it? Okay? So thank you for all your comments. We'll try and address all of them. Alright? Alright. Internal audit. Why is it important? Remember, we're talking about external audit. Yes? Our syllabus is about external audit. Why do we need to talk about internal audit? Okay? So, remember, sometimes the work of the auditor, okay, remember the auditor, what does it need to do? He has to gather evidence to do what? What is our duty? To issue an opinion. And we need to have evidence, remember? Because we need to have reasonable assurance. And when we have reasonable assurance, it means we need evidences, correct? Now you see, the internal auditor does some of this review already, okay? And the work of the internal auditor may affect the kind of work we do to gather evidence. So you can use some of their work, yes? Okay? And is it important? Now let's see if you remember my corporate governance discussion. Is it important for every company, large company, to have an internal audit all the time? Huh? Okay, large or small? Tell me, small, do you think there should be the internal audit? No, remember, internal audit means additional set of people, costs, correct? And you will know here, if you hire a whole department, make sure you have enough jobs for them. But if your business is too small, what job will you do for the entire year? You understand? So, let me ask my question again. Based on the statutory requirements, does every publicly listed company require to have an internal audit?
Yes.
Required regardless? Listed company? Okay, here's the answer. Okay. The answer is what?
Yes.
Corporate governance says that every company should what? Should analyze every year if they need or do not need an internal audit. Isn't that what I said? They have to analyze if they evaluate if they need or do not need an internal audit. Yes. But if they state that they do not need an internal audit that year, they have to do what? They have to give and state the reasons why. You understand? Okay. So the answer is both yes and no. Okay? It depends. Okay? So really, the publicly listed company have to evaluate if they need or not need. If they say they don't need, then they have to explain why they don't need. You got it? Okay? Why they don't need. Now why is it? Because based on the new corporate governance, you remember the corporate governance? What happens to their structure? They need a what? They need to know, they have to have a non-executive arm, correct? Through the audit committee, and the audit committee will have internal auditors. Now what exactly are the work of this internal auditor? So we need to look at number one, how does the company know if they need or do not need an internal audit? Yes? Okay, because they need to do that assessment every single year. Number two, okay? Alright, so if you have an internal audit, what are the structure and operations of that internal audit. Where's mine? Because I don't have to be here. Okay? Next one. Here. Very important. The difference between the work of the external and the internal audit. And you need to remember this. So when we come to that slide, I will ask you to mark it. Okay? Alright, so we'll need to look at the limitations of internal audit, what they can do, and how does it affect our work. Okay? Question. Does the company have to have an internal audit department, or could they outsource that function? Then we will look at outsourcing and the advantages and the disadvantages. I will need to get you to mark and remember this as well. It's very important. Okay? This one here. Alright? And, alright, the last part here, I'll tell you. So what exactly does internal audit do? What are their work? Okay? So it will include all these things. Okay? And we're going to explain all these kind of internal audit assignments here. Okay? Alright? Then we will discuss all that, what I told you here. Now, this internal audit, remember, this chapter is all about internal audit. Does the internal audit also have a report? Yes. Okay. What's the structure of the report? What is in the report? Okay. If external audit have our reports, they too have their own reports. Yeah. Then, very important question. Whose responsibility is it to detect fraud? Is it external auditor's responsibility or internal auditor's responsibility? Okay, remember, who is supposed to detect fraud? So we will finalize that answer here together. Okay? So again, our syllabus looks at explanation of the scope and limitation of the work of the internal audit, and that's what we need to look at. Okay? And then we look at the role of internal and external auditor, the type of reports, how do we use their work, it's all part here. And distinguishing between internal and external auditors also. Okay? So, now here, this is a function within an entity. Okay? And their main role is to what? To evaluate and improve the effectiveness of the company's governance, risk management, and internal control. Okay? Again, governance, risk management, and internal control. Okay? So, how do they improve? Again, remember, these are their main work. Improve effectiveness of the governance because of that non-executive arm. Okay, risk management review. Remember, they're going to evaluate and improve this as well. And internal control processes. Okay, doesn't say anything about financial statements, does it? No, it doesn't say that. You see? You see one difference now between external and internal? Yes? Okay. Alright, so it is a key element of having to apply effective corporate governance. Okay? Now, we talked about this earlier. Okay? So part of companies is to have an internal control system so that they will be able to manage the risks that they face. Okay? Alright, so that's very clear. Now, aside from that, how else can the internal auditor help the board of directors? Okay? Now, how else can they work? Number one, because remember, they are looking at internal control, they're looking at risk management, Is there anything else that we can give them as a job? Remember, I told you, we need, if you're going to hire them and have an internal audit department, they have to have, this is it, this is about the end of the story. We have to give them enough jobs, correct? So what else can they do aside from, there's so much only internal control processes you can review, okay? You review it once in a quarter, then you do it again in the next quarter. What do you do in between? So you need to have other things that they can do. Another thing that they can do is, number one, you know that as external auditors, what report do we review? External audit. The financial statement. But the board of directors, do they only see financial statements? No. There are other reports. Example, management report. Management accounting report. You know, anybody who wants to be in chapter F5, performance measurement or management accounting? Management accounting has many reports, correct? They can report on HR issues. Okay, they can report on manufacturing, operations, sales issues. You understand? And it can be many reports. So who reviews those? Okay? Before they are sent to the board. This is where internal auditors can help and work. Another thing. Now you know there are changes in the IFRS, correct? There are changes in the standards, right? Okay. So these internal auditors, because they're experts in that, okay, they are into auditing and into accounting. What they need to do is to help the accounting team apply the new standard. You understand? Help them understand how the transactions of the company should be stated in the books based on the new standard. Right? So they are not just there to police, but they also need to assist. Okay? And, of course, some of the work of the internal auditors can be used by the external auditors. Therefore, it reduces the what? The work of who? The external auditors. If the work of the external auditors is reduced, what happens? What about the cost? Will it reduce the cost? Yes, which means the charge of the external auditors will be reduced. In other words, the fee they actually ask for will be reduced because somebody already did the work for them. Example, if the company has many branches, okay? And then, so it is required, for example, that when you do a petty cash count, you have to count all the branches, correct? Now, in cases where the external auditors cannot go to all the branches at the same time, can the external auditors' work be considered? It may be considered depending on the risk involved, yes? Okay? So they can use the petty cash count done by the internal auditors on all those other branches, as long as they consider the risk and the scope or how the internal auditors have done the count. You understand what I just said? Okay? So that eliminates additional work for the external auditors. Okay? So the external auditors can use the work of the internal auditors. Okay? Now, later on in another chapter, we will look at what should the external auditors do before they accept the work of somebody else. They have, right? They have a certain list of criteria before they use somebody else's work. Okay, so if I use another expert's work, or in this case the internal auditor's work, I need to make sure I do certain things. I have a kind of like a checklist. So I know if I can do that or not. Okay, so that's another thing. What else? Okay, so those are the main things. So remember, okay, internal audit is there because they're supposed to add value and improve the operations of the company. Okay? So their job is to review, what did we say? Can you remember? What are they supposed to do? Review the what? Evaluate and review the company's internal control processes. What else? Risk management and to actually improve the corporate governance structure. Okay, that's why they're there. Okay, so this slide is very important. I told you, right? Okay, and what is this slide all about? Do you see? What does it say? It's the difference between what? Yes. And there are 5 different areas. So if I were you, I put a star in this one. Why? I need to remember these differences very well. Okay? So, remember, internal auditor is supposed to add and improve the organization of the processes of the organization. Correct? You agree with me? Yes? It add value or improve the operations. External audit is focused only on expressing opinion on the financial statement. Make sense? Okay, so that's the purpose. The difference in the purpose of the two. How about the scope? The scope of the external auditor is all related to what? The financial statements and the financial accounting system, correct? But the scope of the internal audit is all about the operations. Whether it's finance, whether it's purchasing, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's HR, you understand? So they cover the organization, the operations of the organization. Alright, relationship. Who is more independent? External is independent. At the end of the day, internal auditors are employees of the company, correct? Okay. Or even if they're outsourced, they still report to the management, correct? Okay. So they still report to the management. Okay? How about the report? Our report as external auditors, where does it go to? Shareholders, straight to the owners, correct? But the report of the internal auditor goes to whom? Through the audit committee, through the management of the company, yes? Because their purpose is to look at operations, to look at internal control. So it has to go to the people who is operating them, who are managing the internal control. You understand? Okay, question? Yes? Where do you want to report? Risk committee? Yeah. Yeah, still management. Yeah, we're talking about the board. Senior management is the board. So the audit committee and the board. That's the senior management. The board still looks after the entire management of the company.
So we have talking about
Yeah?
and then
Yeah, report to the board also. Correct. Why? Where do you want them to report to? They do report to the board. Through the audit committee. That's it. The structure was audit committee, and you know that is the internal audit. Because the audit committee is appointed by the board. The audit committee, remember, is made up of non-executive directors. Yes. No. You go that side. And then the other side is the executive, which is the COO and the CEO, correct? So, both of them report to the board. Yes. So, question?
So you mean the additional measurement is not equal to the
No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about the board of directors. Yes. Yes. No, I'm talking about the board of directors. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, and that's why in the new corporate governance, remember in the corporate governance codes? Yeah, one is the executive arm and one is the non-executive arm. They all report to those charged with governance. And who is that? It's the board. Yeah. Okay? The auditor's report, of course, we said is addressed to the shareholders. Okay, that is why it's presented in the AGM. You remember the AGM? Okay, our report is presented to the AGM. Planning and collection of evidence. Here's what you need to look at. The external auditors determines materiality level. Now, we've talked about materiality level very, very briefly. You remember? Materiality level is the level or an amount which will affect the economic decision, correct? So when we plan, when we gather evidence, we need to look at the materiality level. We don't check everything, correct? Okay? Those within that materiality level, okay? So, and our work is risk-based. In other words, if we which we're going to talk about in chapter 6, but let me tell you what it is. It means that if we assess our clients, and our clients, we need to see which part of the financial statement has high risk of misstatements, then that would be considered a high risk area. So which means our work, which means more of our work is on areas that are the risk is high because of, I'll tell you when we go to chapter 6. Once we know that the risk is high, what happens? We do more work to find it or less work? More work, so we need to satisfy ourselves that the financial statement is not misstated, okay, on that particular area. Okay? So that is what our work is. We look into the risk and apply our work based on our analysis. Okay? How about internal audit? Okay? Do they consider materiality? No, they check processes and sometimes they go into details, correct? Okay? Yes. And then will they be also risk-based? No, they look at processes. Yes? Process. They look at how you review the purchasing, how do they receive cash. Okay, you understand? They're not concerned how much cash is received, but they want to see how do you handle when the cash comes into the office. They don't say how do they handle if 10,000 cash is received. It doesn't matter to them. They want to know how is the process of receiving cash. That's it. Okay, you understand now? Okay, when we say procedural rather than risk-based. You understood? So these are the 5 different areas of the difference. You need to be able to remember this. All right? Questions? Question? All my things are everywhere, the faces. Okay. All right, so again, do we need to remember? Yes, don't forget, okay? Now, who can be internal auditors? Can anybody be internal auditors? Yes or no? Yeah, doesn't have to be an ACCA, right? So, no requirement to become an ACCA. Alright? Okay, now, of course, who tells the internal auditor what work they should do? Is the what? It's the company. The company will tell the internal auditors what to do. Who tells us how to do our work? Who is us? Us is the external auditors. Who tells us? Okay, our work is depending on what we call international standards on auditing. You remember that? We forget already, it's in chapter 2. ISAs, correct? Our work is dictated, our scope of work is dictated by that. Internal auditors' work is, although they have their own standards, but the work and nature is actually guided by the company itself. But they have also their own set of ways, okay? Alright, so remember, in one of the exams, they asked to distinguish between internal and external audit. How many marks? 4. How many do we have? 5. So we have an extra one, that's in case you forgot, yeah? Which means you have to have that distinction, 4 of that, to be able to get all the 4 marks, okay? Where did they get, where is this? This is in section B, in the long question. In section B, where you have the 20-mark question, some questions are small marks like this. These are called knowledge questions, okay? These are called easy mark questions because it's not related to the scenario, okay? Now, very important. Why? Because this easy mark question is those where you get that 1, 2 marks to actually pass. So if you have 48, okay, and you answer one of these and you get 2 marks and you get 50, then you'll be jumping up and down, isn't it? Okay, for happiness that you answered this this question. So it's also as important as the long question. Okay. See, this is our approach. This is an easy mark question, which is what I told you. Okay. So you need to be. Can you present your answer like a table? Yeah. Especially if they give you a table. In the CBE exam, if they ask you if they ask you to put it in a table, they already have the table ready for you. You don't have to make them. So you need to look how the examiner has presented it to you. If they put you in a table, then type on the table the internal, external, and then the scope. You understand? The differences on the top and explain the differences in the side. So it's very important.
Teacher,
Yes.
if we find, right, but we have to answer only 4. But if we answer 5, but wrong one is still wrong 4. Or...
Yes, good question. He said, what happens if I give 5? And they only ask 4. The examiner or the marker will get the best 4.
The best 4.
Yes. The best 4 out of your answer. Okay? You understand what I just said? It doesn't mean that you gave 5, you get an extra 1. Yes? No. It's still 4 marks. Okay? But they get the best 4 out of the 5. Okay? The only disadvantage is then, if they ask for example, 6 and you give 8, okay? You have a lot of chances to get marks. The only problem is you waste the time writing the 2. That's the only disadvantage there. You got it? Okay? So, what would I do if I were you? If I have time and I know about 2 more, I go back and add the 2 more. But in the meantime, if they ask for 6, give them the 6. Now, if you have more to add and say, maybe I should add this one because it's a better answer, then add it to 7 and 8. Only if you have time left. You understand? Because if you spend that time there and there are easy questions at the end, you miss out on those. Remember, in the exam, you must answer all the questions as much as you can. Don't leave anything blank. You understand? But when you answer relevant to the question. Because I remember one time I checked the paper and then there was an answer. It was talking about what his lunch will be on the next, what he wants to have his lunch when he reaches home. You understand? So just to make sure that there's an answer to no. At least you have to have a relevance to the answer to the question, not just filling up the blanks. You got it? Okay? So be careful. Alright, so okay, again, yes. Sorry? Question? No? You understand what happened to that person? Yeah, I said, when you heard me, he said to fill up everything, right? So he filled up everything without relevance to the answer. He was writing what he wanted for lunch when he reaches home. Yeah, okay. Okay, I have a multiple choice question for you here. Okay? The question is, okay, let's read. Which of the following options correctly allocates the above statements to relevant auditor? So, the statements above, you have to categorize them. Is it external or internal? Okay, let's take a look. So, these are the four. Okay, these are the four characteristics. Tell me, what is the answer to the question? Which one is internal, which one is external? That's a good approach. Now, very easy, no? Answer? What is the answer? A, B, C, or D? The answer is letter C. Correct. Letter C. Okay? You are correct. Okay? Internal auditors are appointed by the audit committee, and what else? Okay, what else? Internal auditors are, okay, looks at what? Operations, effectiveness of the internal control, correct? Okay. External auditors, they report to the shareholders, okay, and whilst the internal auditors report to those charged with governance. Do you remember? PCWG is those charged with governance, which is the board. And the external auditor, okay, reports on the financials. You? Okay. Sorry, I have a black paper here for you, right? Yes, this is the, when you write the what? You can practice writing the differences between the internal and external auditor. Okay? I will post this in your Google and in our OneNote. Okay. Alright, so remember again, internal auditors looks at the company's risk management system that they are working